Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with my March wrap up. Again, getting this up mid-April because I can't film wrap ups in a timely fashion apparently anymore. Whatever, better late than never. So in March, I read 12 books. Now granted, a few of them were incredibly short. One of them was like a novella, but still 12. It's a pretty good number for me, especially these days. Side note, I've gotten like a pretty decent like schedule as to like when I can listen to audiobooks because of like getting help with little man between like John and my mother-in-law, and so I get some like better audiobook listening time in, which is really nice. So that's definitely helping. Anyways, I'm going to just kind of dive into it. I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible because there's so many books. So I'm not going to go into like that much detail about what each book is about. I'll leave a list of everything I read down below so you can use your preferred platform to get synopses. So first up, I read Final Draft by Ellie Alexander. This was a short story novella that's part of like the Sloane Krause world, and I buddy read that with Rainey and Amanda. This was like around 50 pages. I don't remember the exact page count. This was like a 3-star read. So this short story was written like Ellie Alexander does lives most Tuesdays, and so she has like a regular group of people that like are always on these lives, and she like wrote this short story with some of these like very frequent like attendees of her like lives. And you could tell that like the characters were like slightly like out, like the things that some of the characters did were like slightly out of the norm for like what you've come to expect from them in the books. They like did some things that were slightly out of character. It was not like, I mean, it wasn't like a full-length Sloane Krause novel with like just Ellie Alexander writing it. Was it great being back in the world? Absolutely. This one was also told from, oh, is his name Garrett? Why can't I remember his name? Oh, where are my Sloane Krause books? What is his name? It starts with a G. I'll put it here. I can't remember his name. It was told from his perspective, the owner of Nitro. So it was okay, just definitely not like a normal Sloane Krause book. Then I read Mastering the Art of French Eating by Anne Ma. I gave this 4 stars. This is a memoir about Anne Ma's time in France. Her and her husband moved to France. Her husband is a diplomat, and she spent some time in Paris while he was then like called to live in Baghdad. And so she like spent this year in France like alone, like right after they moved there. And so it like goes through her time in there, and like it's a play on Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking. And there are like definite parallels between Anne Ma's life and Julia Child's life. I mean, Julia Child's husband was a diplomat, and he worked in France. This is set up like in different chapters. Each chapter is like an area of France and like a very well-known dish for that area. And so you get like a little bit of like history of that dish and Anne Ma's experience learning about it and her like what's going on in her life at that time. So it was interesting. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed pretty much anything even slightly related to Julia Child, even though this wasn't really related to her. But it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. It was very easy to read, very well written, so no complaints. Then I read The Archive of the Forgotten by A.J. Hackwith. This is book 2 in the Hell's Library series. I really can't say a lot about what this is about because it like picks up right where book 1 ends, and it'd be like somewhat spoilery, but basically at the end of book 1, something happens, and now they're dealing with the consequences of that in book 2. And this one, it's not as like action packed as the Library of the Unwritten was. But you're definitely intrigued to see like what the resolution to this like big problem is going to be. And there's a little bit of tension between Claire and Brevity. So Claire is the librarian, Brevity is her assistant. There's a little bit of tension there because they're looking at like tackling this problem in 2 different ways, and they're at odds as to like how to like resolve that. So very enjoyable. Like I said, not as action packed as the first book was, but I still enjoyed it, and you definitely were like intrigued to figure out like what was going to happen, what the resolution was going to be. So I gave this 4.25 stars. Then we have Claret in Present Danger by Sarah Fox. This is book 4 in the Literary Pub mystery series. I buddy read this with Rainy. I gave this 4 stars. I think I said this in like some of my vlogs, but I kind of like forget about this cozy mystery series because I'm reading them like as they come out. Like this is the most recent book in the series, and it just came out in like November or December. And so since I'm not like binge reading it, I forget, like when I'm talking about cozies, I forget about it because it's not like the Bake Shop mystery series or the Hannah Swinson series where I'm like catching up. But it's really good. I love Sadie and Grayson. So Sadie is the owner of the Inkwell, which is her literary themed pub. And Grayson owns a brewery that like provides beer for the pub and is like next door to the pub. And they are like in a fairly new relationship. That's possibly spoilers, sorry. I mean, it's pretty obvious in book 1 that they're going to end up in a relationship. But, and in this one, they are there's like a Renaissance fair in town. And the murder, like typically in cozies, if there's like a bunch of people from out of town in an event, just like if you're not familiar with cozies, like you can guarantee that like whatever that event is, like that's going to be the center of the murder. So there's a murder like at the Renaissance fair, and it's just fun. Like I don't know, I mean I love a cozy. Like I just love cozies. And I love the relationship in this. I love Sadie and Grayson. I love Sadie's friends. I love the setting. I love the Inkwell. I mean, I just love everything about it. I just forget that it is a cozy mystery that I'm reading. So, yeah. Then I have to make sure that I'm like getting everything. So I have my bullet journal off to the side. Then we have This Tinderland by William Kent Krueger. I gave this 4 stars. I read this for my work book club. I listened to this, and I completely understand like what the hype is about. It was a very easy listen. I will say, and I said this in my vlogs as well, I feel like I might not have enjoyed it as much if I read it physically, because I feel like I might have gotten like bogged down in it. I mean, this is a 450-page book, and but listening to it, it was very easy to listen to. This book follows a like ragtag group of kids that have fled this school that they were attending after something happens, and you kind of follow them as they are making their way. They're trying to get from Minnesota to Chicago. I think they're headed to Ohio. I'm pretty sure that's where, like, Chicago, not Ohio, Chicago. And so they're trying to like get there, and they meet a lot of like fun people along the way. It was like good, like I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I read it physically, but the audiobook is so good. I loved the characters. I loved the like ragtag group. I loved all of the kids, and I really enjoyed all of the people that they met along the way. Like some are good, some are bad, but I enjoyed them, and it was a good time. Then I listened to Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. This was a reread for me. I mean, but I hadn't read it in like probably since I was a kid. This I gave 4 stars. I mean, this was like a 2-hour long audiobook. I listened to it in like one afternoon. And I mean, it's a fun, like, I mean, it's Charlotte's Web. Like, I don't have any like complaints about it. It's a good time. Who doesn't love Charlotte's Web? If you don't like Charlotte's Web, or like, I should say, if you hate Charlotte's Web, let me know, because I really want to know why. Like, I get that it might not be like your favorite book ever, because it's not my favorite book ever, but like, it's a classic. It was just a good feels. Hits you in the feels. I love it. Good time. Then for my in-person, like not work book club, I read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I gave that 4 stars. That was a pleasant surprise. I thought, and like, I'll show you the cover here. Like, I thought this book was going to be like all sorts of sexy time. Like, and I was not going to like it. Like, legit, I was like, this is going to be horrible. I'm not going to like it. And while there was some sexy time, especially because the main character, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, the main character is like an erotica author. Like, so I really thought there was going to be a lot of sexy time, and there was some, but it wasn't like overwhelming. It was very like, I mean, tame, honestly, like compared to what I thought it was going to be. And I enjoyed it. Like, basically, you're following these 2 authors, and they like knew each other back in like high school, and they had a relationship in high school, and something like went wrong, and there was like something happened, and they like parted ways, and like hadn't like seen each other or talked to each other like since then. And they meet back up at this like writing convention, and they start like kind of talking, and they finally get to like you do end up finding out like what happened, and what like each one of them thought happened, and what actually happened. You know, there's like 3 sides to every story type thing. But in between like them like breaking up in like high school and like getting like meeting back up again, they've basically been telling these like writing to each other through their writing, like, because they're both authors, and like you could like see bits and pieces of the other person in their writing, and it was a good time. Like, I was pleasantly surprised and how much I enjoyed it. I'm trying to remember, like, I feel like there was something that like irked me about it, but I can't remember what it was now. I don't remember, so it must not have been that big of a deal. I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Calamity at the Carnival by London Lovett, which is book 5 in the Firefly Junction series. I gave that 4.5 stars. Read that on my Kindle. Another good time, guys. I read a lot of cozy mysteries, and I am not upset about it in March. This one, there's a carnival, obviously. So like I said about Claret and Present Danger, if there's a carnival in town, like that's what the murder is going to center around. The thing that I like, and you find this in both Firefly Junction and the Port Danby series, which I'm going to talk about literally next, is these in most cozy mysteries, there's a little bit of like tension between like the main protagonist and the like detectives, like the police force. And in both Firefly Junction and Port Danby, the main protagonist, so Sunny in Firefly Junction and Lacey in the Port Danby series, they both like work in conjunction with the police department, which is like different, but I like it. Like they're not at odds. I mean, neither one of the detectives in either of those series are like thrilled that like they put themselves in like dangerous situations by like going after these killers, but they're also not like but they also use Lacey and Sunny to like their advantage, and like, you know, so it's a different perspective. I loved that we get a little bit more of Edward, which is Sunny's ghost. I love that little aspect. Like it's paranormal, but like not scary. Like Edward's like a ghost, and like you learn a little bit more about like what's going on in his life, his afterlife. He's a ghost. He's dead. So then, like I said, I did also read Dahlias in Death, which is book 6 in the Port Danby series. I gave this 5 stars. Guys, I mean, again, I read a lot of cozies and I'm not mad about it. In this one, it is the 4th of July, if you couldn't tell by the cover. You get to meet Lacey's parents, which is fun. I liked getting to learn about them. I loved her dad. Her dad just like, I don't know, he seems like just like a big teddy bear. Like he just seems like he'd be like a lot of fun. Because I'm pretty sure he like says in here, like he like his goal is to like become like fat and happy. Like he doesn't care about like his weight. Like he's like, I'm retired, I'm gonna do whatever I want. So I loved her parents. There is a little bit of like a wrench. So like there's like a budding romance. It's not like, they're not like an official couple yet between Lacey and someone, and that person's ex-wife comes back into town, and that added some drama, but like it's a good time. The Port Danby series, highly recommend. As does Rainey and Linda as well. So 3 booktubers recommend Port Danby. Check it out. Then I listened to the audiobook of Majesty by Catherine McGee. That is book 2 in the American Royals series. I gave that 4 stars. Nothing like, so this one also kind of picks up shortly after the end of book 1, where Beatrice, who has been, you know, groomed to be the Queen of America, is like basically working out getting married when she's not really like in love with the like guy that she's engaged to. I can't really say much because that would also be spoilers, but I mean, I love like all of the siblings in the books. So there's Beatrice, Sam, and Jeff. The only thing that I wish is, I really wish that you got chapters told from Jefferson's perspective. So the main like perspectives in this are Beatrice, Sam, and then Sam's best friend Nina, and then Jeff's ex-girlfriend Daphne. So those are like the 4 perspectives that you get in both book 1 and book 2. And I just really want like Jefferson's perspective, because he is involved in a lot of the like happenings and like what's going on, even though it centers mostly around like Beatrice and Sam. Like Sam and Jeff are twins, and and they're like the other people's perspectives. Like I almost wish that we didn't have one of the other perspectives, but instead had Jeff's. That I guess would be my only like complaint. I don't think that the other perspectives are necessarily not needed. I just also want Jeff's perspective, because I feel like it would be it'd be like a little bit more insightful. So I mean, but again, I can't really say a lot about what it's about. It does pick up like basically right at the like where book 1 leaves off, and it's good. I really do like, my favorite character I think is Sam, although like I feel like in book 2 you get to like see a different side of Beatrice. Like in book 1 she's very like proper and like, this is what I have to do, I'm gonna be the next like, you know, ruler of America, like I have to do everything like the proper way, and you get to see like a more like human side of her in book 2, I feel like. But yeah. Okay, then 2 more to go, guys. Then I read Pages & Co., The Bookwanders by Anna James. I gave this 5 stars, guys. This lived up to the hype for me. It was so good, so cute. I'm so excited to read book 2. I need to like buy it immediately. It was so good. You did spend a lot of time kind of like learning how it all works, which is fine. Like, it was very interesting while you were reading it, so you didn't get to like the conflict, if you will, until like more than halfway through. But it's not like it was boring to read the entire time. Like, it was very interesting and I was fine with it. And I'm sure that like the next couple books, like, you don't have all of that, so you can like get into like the conflict, if you will, sooner. But like, honestly, like, no complaints. It was so good, so easy to read. A good time. Definitely lives up to the hype, in my opinion. And then last but not least, we have Coconut Layer Cake Murder by JoAnne Fluke, book 20 something in the Hannah Swenson series. I gave this 4 stars. This was a good time. I'd kind of forgotten, because it's been so long since I had like read the last one. I like kind of forgot some of the like details of what had happened in the last book. So I was like a little bit disoriented for a second. I was kind of disappointed, and Linda, let me know if you felt the same way. I was kind of like very like let down a little bit in like the first couple chapters of this, because the last book ends on like this huge cliffhanger and you're like, oh my gosh, and then like they resolve it like right away, and they resolve it in a way that I wasn't like, I was bummed by. Like, it like I wish that it had been like resolved differently. I mean, it's probably good for Hannah that it wasn't, but like, oh my gosh, like, it would have added like it would have been like, to me, it would have been a lot more interesting if it had turned out differently. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. But like, basically in this one, Lonnie, who is a detective on the police force and also the boyfriend of Lisa, Hannah's business partner, is basically like being accused of murder, because he was like the last person to be like found or to be seen with this like person who's murdered. And so in this one, it's nice because you basically have Mike and Bill, so Mike being like one of the like love triangle members, and Bill, Hannah's brother-in-law, requesting her help to like prove Lonnie's innocence, which is an interesting dynamic. You don't get that in the Hannah Swenson books typically, because typically Mike is saying, no, I don't need your help. What do you know? And yeah, so they're actually asking for his help, or asking for her help. So, 23 and a half minutes later, that is everything I read in March. Let me know down below, have you read any of these books? What did you think of them? How was your March? How's April going? Tell me if you hate Charlotte's Web. All that stuff. Anyways, that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy reading. Bye!